Hello DeLorean Restoration Nation, I'm Marek from Ranch Engineering, and behind me you can see a heater box from a DeLorean that is automated. Let me explain you everything that I did to this unit and actually show you how it operates. It's quite cool. First of all, let's start with the renovation to the heater box that is necessary. I had to open it up. I had to remove all the old foam. I had to sandblast all the metal parts that were already rusted. I had to prime them, I had to coat them, and then I applied new layer of foam. I used a bit different foam than was originally used on the box. It is the closed cell foam that you can see here. It has a bit different structure than the foam that was originally used on the DeLorean. This foam, the biggest advantage of this foam, of the closed cell structure, is that it won't trap any humidity, which is quite important when it comes to the HVAC unit. So I renovated the flaps, I also renovated the foam, I also changed all the seals between. So here you have a rubber seal between this vent here. You will have on the stock DeLorean a foam tape around. In this case I replaced it with a neoprene tape, which is also has similar structure to the closed cell foam like you can see here. It also keeps it nicely sealed and won't deteriorate over the time like the old tape. You can also see a silver tape up to here. Actually, the whole inside of this heater box is laid with the silver tape. This silver tape will help to separate the air that is coming through the HVAC from losing the temperature, losing the temperature, because it's flowing through the either really hot housing or really cold housing of the heater box. So it's basically a layer of insulation that will increase the performance of the HVAC unit. So in the simple terms, when you jump into your car on the really hot day, it will blow the cold air much sooner than on the normal heater box that you would find in other DeLorean. So those are the standard modifications that you all can do. You can also replace the blower unit, as I did. This is a brand new one with a reused cage that I just cleaned. Now, a quick overview of the whole heater box. So this is the whole unit. Just to let you know how it sits in the car. So this bit here, this will be sitting behind the glove box. This part here will be sitting somewhere behind your panel. So here's your panel. You will have 3 knobs. The knob on your left will be responsible for controlling the air mixing flap that is located in the middle of the unit. This flap will mix the cold air from evaporator and the hot air from your heater. The knob in the middle is responsible for guiding the air and also turning on the compressor, aircon compressor. Behind this switch you will have a maze that will guide the air to the responsible actuator, a vacuum actuator. This is one of them. This one is plastic. We also have a metal actuators, 3 of them on the left side of the unit. So depending which option you will choose, it will engage sometimes even more than 1 vacuum actuators. There's also the 5th actuator that will sit in the car behind the blower motor. It is the recirculation flap that I have attached on the left side of my table. On the right side, of course, as I already mentioned, there's a blower motor. The blower motor will push all the air through the unit. heart of this project is the Arduino Mega Board that is located here. This unit is important because my heater box will become semi-automatic. What it means, I will be able to set the temperature by the knob to, let's say, 22 degrees Celsius, and this unit will do all the calculations and will control the output to make sure that the temperature inside the cabin is 22 degrees as set. How it will be done? First of all, we need to measure the temperatures, and there's many of them that we can measure. First one will be the temperature on the intake of the heater box. I already have one temperature sensor that is located over there. It is in the same spot as you used to have your resistor to control the blower motor. On my setup, that one is gone, and I will explain you in a moment why. So we have one sensor on the intake, the second sensor will be outside of the car, the third one will be inside the cabin, the fourth one will be measuring the temperature of your evaporator that is located here. The sensor is not yet there, it's located here outside. And the fifth one will be the coolant temperature. And all those temperatures will be measured by the Arduino, and then it will compare them to what what temperature I've chosen to be inside the cabin, and it will control the outputs to have the demanded temperature. How it will be done? First of all, we need to mix the temperature. Well, we need to mix the air. So we have the cold air, we have the hot air, and the mixing flap. Normally, the mixing flap would be controlled by a knob that is located here. This knob is connected by a solid cable on the bottom of the flap, and it moves it depending which orientation did you choose. On this setup, we have a electric stepper motor that is controlling the flap. So all those wiring that you can see here, that is actually to the stepper motor that is located underneath over there. I will show you the better picture of it on your screen. So Arduino is controlling that stepper motor using this small driver here. This stepper motor has 4,000 steps between the maximum cold and maximum hot setup, so it is quite decent resolution, I would say. Direction of the flaps will be also controlled by the Arduino. This is done by supplying the vacuum to them through the electric solenoid valves that are located here. We have 6 solenoid valves, however we have 5 actuators, but the first solenoid will be controlling if we supplying the vacuum to the rail, or it will be venting to the atmosphere. The solenoids cannot be connected directly to our Arduino because the power consumption is too big, so we're using the relays. So from the solenoids to the relays, and the relays are controlled by the Arduino. The blower motor that is located here doesn't have the four steps anymore. We are using the PWM controller that is located here, and this knob. This knob has no predefined positions like you had on the normal panel. It can be rotated smoothly, and you can see the blower motor will operate. So this gives you the ability to find the sweet spot that you always wanted to have between the first stage and the second stage. So first stage is usually a bit too slow, the stage 2 is a bit too noisy. With this unit here, you can find the sweetest spot that you will ever need. this is a test setup, it's not the final condition, so for my testing I'm using this touchscreen. On my final setup I won't have the touchscreen, I will be using the electric buttons. So I want to convert my DeLorean to the resto mode, but it needs to have this analog appearance. So the setup here is a standard touchscreen. It has 3.5 inches, and we are controlling all the inputs going to our heater box thanks to this. At the moment we have only one sensor hooked up, that is on the intake, and the temperature is displayed here. Using this panel we can control the flaps. We have 5 flaps, and we can control the stepper motor. When you will be turning on the car, first operation that this setup will do, it will have to calibrate the position of the flap, because there is no potentiometer. So at the moment the unit kind of doesn't know what's the position of the stepper motor. It needs to perform a calibration, which means it will rotate the stepper maximum to the left until it hits a hard stop, and then we know it's position 0. So I will press the reset button on my board, and you will see the flashing lights here, and the motor underneath will rotate maximum to the left. Okay, we got the flashing LEDs that are from the board, and the motor is commutating. Unfortunately you cannot see that, but you'll have to trust me. The lights are slowing down, which means the commutation is over. So now we can go back to the stepper motor screen, and we can define any position on this scroll bar. So let's go to the middle of it. You can see the flashing lights here. It means the motor is rotating. I don't know if you can see it underneath. If we zoom in, maybe. I will move it again. And again to the maximum. You need to be looking on the part that is here. Not sure if it's really visible, but let's focus now on the flaps. To operate the flaps I need a vacuum, right? I don't have a car in my study room, so I need to connect something that will create the vacuum for me. The easiest way to do it is to hook up the vacuum cleaner. Let me go now and turn it on. Sorry for the noise in the background, but this is basically a vacuum cleaner providing us the necessary vacuum to operate the flaps. To see the airflow better, I put those strings that are temporarily attached to the heater box, so you will see that the air is actually coming through the vents. Let's turn on the blower motor. It will get a bit noisy again. We can start with the recirculation flap that is attached to the side of my table. And the flap is attached to my last outlet, which is flap number 5. On the screen you're getting the message that the vacuum actuator is in operation. It takes about 8 seconds to make sure the flap is fully open. Now the status of the flap changed, as you can see. If I press it again, it will close the flap. So as you can see, the flap is closing much faster because the unit here is venting to the atmosphere. Maybe now let's show the air coming from the vent that will be guiding the air to your windscreen. So I'm pressing the flap number 4, actuation happening, and here it comes. Again, we need to wait 8 seconds to make sure the flap is fully open. Flap number 1 is the flap blowing the air in our face. You will be able to see that really well because this will open now by pressing the flap number 1. And here we go. We still have 3 more flaps inside the unit, which are the 2 small flaps sitting here, and the third one is the horizontal flap sitting somewhere here. I can engage those to show you. So the flap here, and now you can get some air actually on your face. So sometimes to change the function that you had on your control panel, you actually need to engage 2 or maybe even 3. I will have to look into the DeLorean book on the pages on your workshop manual. As you can see here, it describes what is actually happening when you're choosing each option on your panel. So for the testing purposes, I'm using a separate control of each flap. And another flap. And again, let's turn on the recirculation flap because I want to show you some feature. The flap is opening again. I will turn off the blower now, and let me also turn off the vacuum supply, and by that I mean our vacuum cleaner. Even with the vacuum turned off, the system is keeping the actuators closed. So normally in the DeLorean, based on the condition of your function knob that is here and the rubber maze that is inside the button, you can also achieve this, but usually because of the length of all the tubing and the sealing of your knob, this is not always the case. So what happens once you turn off the car, the flaps will basically close. Here, the advantage is that those solenoids can keep the vacuum for more than 24 hours. This is tested, and I think we could even improve that to 48 hours by using the clamps on the tubing. We can disengage the flaps just by pressing the button on our touchscreen. So let's disengage the recirculation flap. Of course, I won't be able to open it up again. However, in a DeLorean, on your left quarter, you will have your vacuum reservoir that has a one-way valve. So once you turn on your engine, you will provide the vacuum to it, and once you turn the engine off, the one-way valve will close and the vacuum will be held in that reservoir. So if everything is properly sealed, we will be able to operate our heater box even when the engine is off for some period of time until the air will get into the system. But just based on the solenoids, those flaps will stay open at least for 24 hours or more. Okay, so this is my basic overview of, I would say, a test rig at the moment, because I still don't have the written algorithm that will be controlling the mixing flap. At the moment, as you could see on previous takes, I could control the flap. But my main goal is to have a knob based on which I will choose the temperature, like 22 degrees Celsius, and my Arduino will do all the rest. It will control the position of mixing flap and maybe even the direction of the airflow. I will keep the speed of the blower separately because this is my private preference, my personal preference. Sometimes when you jump into really hot car on your new vehicle and it has automatic air conditioning unit, you will press, you will set the temperature 20 degrees and it will blow really fast. I don't like that. I prefer to lower the temperature gradually depending on my preference, so that's why I will keep the blower separately. But it's not a big problem to actually hook up the PWM unit to Arduino and have the automatic control of the blower speed as you have on your modern car. So thanks for watching. This unit is still in the development. I don't think it will be finished until I finish my car, because there's a lot of testing to be done on the actual vehicle to properly calibrate everything, to improve the algorithm. And once that is done, I think I will be providing this solution for other users of DeLorean. This is not a vintage air unit box. This heater box is a standard DeLorean box that can be modified, but if you won't like it, it can be always reverted back to the normal state, the original state. Thank you for watching. It was Marek from Range Engineering, and you can follow the development of this unit on my Facebook group called DeLorean Vin 4454, or by following my company fan page on the Facebook. It's called Range Engineering. All the links you can find now on the screen or in the under the video. Thanks for watching. See you in the future.